will be in the primarily white tops with the gray helmets and gray shorts. Of course, scarlet numbering and lettering. And then Boston University, red tops, red shorts, red helmets. And they've got white numbering and lettering. Game 2 of the 2019 campaign. Ready to go. Opening face-off. It is bobbled by the Buckeyes and given to Ohio State on an interference call. Good effort from Justin Inacio, who did a good job, I thought, for the most part last week in the face-off circle, but Cleveland State held him to a moderate percentage, and the Buckeyes will take their first crack. Let's give you the starting lineup here. First, offensively, freshman Jack Myers from Washington, D.C. is in the starting lineup. At the moment, Jack Jasinski, a senior, holds up top. This is Lucas Buckley right side, and they'll work with Jackson Reed, Ryan Terefenko, and Trey LeClaire on the attack. Buchanan Dunovit makes his first career start today defensively. Jeff Henrick is also out there, and let's not forget about Matt Borges with freshman goalkeeper and high school All-American Skylar Wayland in the cage. First shot, first goal. Buckeyes on the board. It's Jasinski striking in the opening minute.
Really tough physical dodge there by Jasinski. Gets to the middle of the field. Once again, right, Coach Myers preaches to his offensive guys. Finish in front of the cage. Gives you more of an angle on the goal, right? And obviously he's not afraid of contact. Real, takes the hit at the end there. Pops right back up. His teammates help him up and celebrate. Good start for the Buckeyes.
All right, on the other side, I realize we have a couple of changes here now with some substitutions, but Boston University's at the outset, they've got Joe McSorley, a junior from Forest Hill, Maryland. He's in goal. James Burr and Chris Gray. Those are names you'll hear all afternoon. Easily the top two offensive threats for the Terriers. Nick Muller, Jared Nugent, Timmy Lee, Brendan Homeyer, Nicholas Ellerton, and Jake Cates, along with Quentin Germain, the starters for the Terriers.
Just had an infraction there by the Ohio State team, so Boston will get the ball to start. See if they've got some opening play. Obviously, they want to get the ball to their two primary goal scorers. They did a lot for them in their 8-7 win last week against Providence. So, obviously, Ohio State, once you kind of get a couple of these games under your belt, you get some film. How you're going to slide, how you're going to guard some of these guys. It'll be interesting to see what Coach Crane down there on the Ohio State end's got kind of dialed up for him.
You mentioned Travis Crane, third-year assistant under 11th-year head coach Nick Myers, whose Buckeyes are in the top 25 again at the beginning of the season. That one is floated, probably more of a poor pass than anything else. Wayland picks it up, and Ohio State struggles to clear it.
Yeah, failed clear, right? Never want to give a chance, a second opportunity back. I know that Ohio State coaching staff preaches one stops, right? That means once you make a stop, clearing the ball, getting it to your offense.
Williamson fires, too tall, but it'll stay with the Terriers. 13-11 left in the opening period. Ohio State leads 1-0 on an early goal from Jack Jasinski. So BU setting things up here. Tyler Hess. Actually, beg your pardon, that's Jack Collins on the attack.
Does not feel good at all. BU operating out of a 2-2 set, so that's going to be two guys up top, two guys on the crease. Ohio State player number 11 there. Henrik soaks a shot right off the side right there. Obviously, the goalies probably like that, when their guys are in there blocking shots. They get the ball back off an infraction.
All right, Meek, I know you weren't a goalkeeper, but try to take me inside the mind of Skylar Wayland, who's playing his first career game as a Buckeye today, as he gives one up here.
Yeah,
BU strikes first.
I mean, obviously, you got to have nerves and butterflies, right? You're starting. Obviously, he must he's been proving himself in practice to get that start after Josh Corson had a really nice, strong game yesterday. And if you're the Ohio State defense, right, you've got some veteran leaders. You want to help him see a couple easy shots early. So unlike that one that you just saw right on the doorstep there, you want to have him see a couple outside shots early, get his confidence up in the clearing game. You want to make good decisions, right? I think his pass to Terefenko was a good pass, kind of just mishandled it. But you're just looking to see a maturity, out of Skylar that hopefully, most freshmen don't have.
Wayland's resume is terrific. He was named Ohio's Goalie of the Year and a U.S. Lacrosse All-American in his senior season up at Olentangy Liberty, and was first-team All-Ohio, All-Region, All-Conference, set Olentangy Liberty's single-season record with 219 saves.
Yeah.
He really couldn't have done much more. I know you had a chance to see him at the high school level and were impressed with him then, as Trey LeClaire takes a shot and rattles it off the top of the bar.
Yeah, just going back to Skylar, had the opportunity to coach against him. Obviously, really tough game plan, right? You get your guys in the right spot, and you still got to end up scoring, and he did a nice job of anchoring a strong Olentangy Liberty defense. For some reason, BU's got a short stick on Trey LeClaire, and I have no idea why. Maybe they're worried about the speed, or they think that, because Trey is a predominantly right-handed player, that their short stick presents a tough matchup. But look for Ohio State to go back to this.
LeClaire, right in the middle, right on cue.
I don't understand. Obviously they've got a game plan in place, so not to slight the Boston University coaching staff. But Trey is, looking at last week's game, he had 3 goals, and they were relatively easy, right? They were short stick matchups, no slide. You saw earlier in this possession, he gets a step on the short stick. Like I said, he's leaned out. He's a lot quicker and a lot shiftier than most people give him credit for. And he hit the pipe on the first one, and then inside there, you got to have your stick on him, right? A Canadian guy, he's used to playing in tight, inside in spaces. If you give him any space, by the time you turn around, that ball's going to be in and out of his stick, just like we saw right there. So they've got a long pole back on him. Not sure if that was just a switch and they're trying to throw some different things at Ohio State, but I would highly suggest not having a short stick on Trey LeClaire for the rest of today's game.
Well, it doesn't matter who the opposition is that the Buckeyes face. The scouting report is probably going to start with LeClaire most nights. It's not to slight anybody else. Jasinski's terrific. Terefenko, an All-American as well. But Trey LeClaire, his size, his speed, his power, his versatility, it's really impressive. And so I think getting the right matchup on him defensively has to be your primary focus, or else you're going to be fighting an uphill battle most of the day.
Yeah, Ohio State's got a lot of weapons on offense. So it's like you focus on one guy and then another guy burns you. You focus on this guy, another guy burns you. Every guy capable of handling the ball, capable of scoring. They've got 2.5 midfield lines deep of guys who can put the ball in the back of the net, as we see the second midfield line come out here right now. So you got to be ready for everything, but obviously you want to start with kind of taking care of the big guns and making some of these other role-type players beat you and see what you get out of them.
All right, so the Buckeyes lead 2-1. We've got 30 seconds on the shot clock. How about a 3-1 advantage? An Ohio State goal for Nick Musey.
You see, local product there. Does a great job of hitching. He's a strong left-handed player, gets to the middle of the field. By doing so, he allows himself to increase his angle, puts a great shot off the stick side hip of McSorley here in net. And that's one thing Coach Myers mentioned was McSorley had 20-plus saves last week, and they were a little worried, right? A little bit worried. They're trying to get to him early, put some good shots on net. They've done that here. So obviously from a confidence standpoint, he's starting to doubt himself. He's starting to maybe question what's going on. Seen some pretty tough shots from LeClaire, Jasinski, and Musey right down the middle. And they're kind of throwing him out of that rhythm. So we'll see if he can bounce back and kind of make a couple stops to help that Boston team out.
So one of the things we were most focused on coming into this game was the tempo at which BU appears like they're going to play compared to what the Buckeyes saw from Cleveland State last week. Ohio State does a nice job here. They've won a couple face-offs in a row, and they pick up the ground ball. But again, the concept of the number of possessions in a game, right? We thought maybe last week we'd see Ohio State with increased possessions, but both teams used a lot of the shot clock, so it didn't really come into play. That's not the case, at least the expectation this week. I think both coaching staffs expect that it's going to be a more offensive game, and maybe that helps guys stay a little more involved.
Yeah, 80 seconds is still a very long time, right? You're still looking at over a minute of offense, and like we mentioned, right, the Cleveland State team knew how much Ohio State had to offer in the Ohio State's offense, so they obviously worked the shot clock down. You're making teams play defense. It's kind of like body blows in boxing. Right? Those early possessions, you want to wear that shot clock down, right? So then in the third and fourth quarter, teams start getting tired. They start making silly mistakes. They don't communicate, and that hopefully allows you to get some easy goals.
9 minutes, 50 seconds left in the opening period. Buckeyes 3, Terriers 1. If you've just tuned in, you've missed a couple of offensive explosions early on. How about a second goal from Jasinski? The Buckeyes are pouring it on early.
Yeah, so, early timeout by Boston obviously called for it. Ohio State just went to their invert offense. So what that means is they bring a short stick back behind and try and set a pick to create some matchup issues. Obviously, Boston, right, Jasinski's a right-handed player. They force him to his left hand, but he's a guy that works really hard on both hands, finishes in front of the goal once again and puts the ball where the goalie's not. Great job by Jasinski there.
We'll take a quick timeout. Ohio State 4, Boston 1. 9:42 left in the opening period. You're watching Ohio State lacrosse on BTN+. All right, out of the timeout with 9:42 left in the first quarter. It's Ohio State 4 and Boston University 1. Awfully quick start for the Scarlet and Gray. Dominique Alexander alongside. I'm Brendan Gulick. Let's jump back to a defensive perspective here for Ohio State. We talked about the freshman in the cage for the Buckeyes. I think one way to get him comfortable early is to give him a nice, comfortable lead.
Yeah, exactly. When you're playing with the lead, right, you can kind of relax. When you're not getting peppered with shots in the beginning there, you can kind of get a feel for the game, let the nerves settle a little bit, and then, do your job.
Chrisman wins the faceoff, finally gives BU a little bit of breathing room. And it'll stay on this end of the field as
see Chris Gray pulling up there from deep, right off the faceoff, trying to get his team momentum back. Now he's back behind the goal, guarded by Matt Porges, who's going to have his hands full today. But obviously, you look for the Boston team. Still plenty of time left, right? We're still early in the first quarter, only down by 3. That's nothing in the game of lacrosse, but obviously you want to get a good possession on this. You want to give your defense a break. Obviously, they've been kind of punched in the mouth a little bit, and they let themselves settle down.
What a shot! James Burr just torches one into the top left corner.
Yeah, we can definitely see why Coach Myers and the staff are worried about him. He rattled the cage, almost put a hole in the net. I'm not sure why Ohio State's necessarily showing off of him. Once again, going back to, if you know coming into a game, who the main guys are, make somebody else beat you. And that's what I always try and do, as a coach myself, is try and make the other team have to go to some other guys, right? If you get the main guy started early, that's going to give everybody else confidence, right? If you take away those main guys early, everyone else is going to start kind of looking around, waiting for someone else to make a play. That can buy you some time in a game, especially when you're the quote-unquote underdog.
Perhaps maybe just a small lack of focus as Burr found himself with a ton of space. Back to the face-off X inside the block O. And on the interference, Ohio State takes it.
One thing to notice on these face-offs is BU's actually got 2 long poles on the wing. So what that does is, obviously having a 6-foot stick gives you a little bit of an advantage on a ground ball, but even if a Ohio State guy picks it up, it allows you to put some instant pressure. So that might just be, a game plan thing. Maybe those guys are their 2 best guys at picking up ground balls. We'll see if that's a factor. Obviously, we've had a couple violations early. Not a whole lot of ground ball scrums, but we'll see if that plays into things later in the game.
4-2 Ohio State, 8:50 left in the opening period. The Buckeyes, they're patient offensively, but when they get that first opening, they like to strike.
Yeah, the short stick D-middies, the poles, right? They practice pushing the ball in transition. They practice, making offensive decisions, setting picks, and they've got different calls that they use to communicate to their attack on what they're doing in transition. If it's not there, they're gladly to pull it out and go back into their 6-on-6 offense.
Jasinski already with a 2-goal performance in the opening few minutes. Almost a takeaway. Ohio State still loose. Buckeyes can't pick up the ground ball. Oh, great effort by Trey LeClaire. Man, is he unstoppable.
That's a good ground ball right there. That's a tough ground ball by Trey LeClaire on the sideline. Keeps his balance, right? Outruns three BU guys, and that's a backbreaker. You put the ball on the ground, now you got to play another 80, 70 seconds of defense. And, this BU team that's already been struggling early in this game, right, they're trying to get the ball up and out to their offense so that they can get themselves a break.
Fair to mention here that when something like that happens, the shot clock will reset. So the Buckeyes had a full clock. Jackson Reed misses just a little wide right, but it'll stay on this end of the field. 7:34 in the opening quarter.
Yeah, great offense right there, right? Draw the slide, dump it inside for an easy goal. Jackson probably wishes he had that one back, but Ohio State's also operating out of kind of a 2-2 set. 2 guys on the crease adds a little bit of an element to communication on the inside. Right now, 2 guys have to communicate to each other, allows you to set picks and cause some confusion.
Buckley's pass across the middle missed Jasinski, but Colby Smith there to pick it up. Still 30 seconds on the shot clock. LeClaire to the right, tough angle.
He's still got a short stick on him. I don't. We'll see. Obviously, you don't want to get too one-dimensional if you're Ohio State.
Oh, what a shot and a goal by Trey LeClaire. Wow. LeClaire tucked it. He held it. He looked off the defender, and then quick shot up top. No chance to stop it.
Yeah, and that's one thing that Trey's been able to add to his game is an element of feeding. So when he's got his head up like that, as an off-ball defender, you're trying to, kind of find where your guy is so that way he can't, throw it to him. Once again, that possession, I feel like BU had a chance to get a pull on Trey. They kept the short stick matchup, and quite frankly, he's burned him twice already for it. He should have 3 goals, right? He hit the pipe on his first shot, but he could very well have 3 goals. And the low angle shot, nothing a whole lot McSorley can do in net there. It's just a really well placed ball.
Just to give you some perspective, this is the 38th game in Trey LeClair's career as the Buckeyes commit the infraction, and it's the 23rd time in those 38 games that he has scored more than once. And by the way, he does it today in basically half a quarter. 5-2 Buckeyes, but the Terriers, who are in red, have the ball offensively here. We're at 6:38 in the opening period. Only the second ever meeting between the two sides. Of course, they met last year with Ohio State prevailing. Whalen found himself in a tough spot. Buckeye defense takes it over. Terefenko knocked to the ground. Flag comes out. Ryan tries to stay with it, and he does.
Probably going to be a hold there, but I do not agree with that call. I think the BU player did a great job of just keeping his feet moving and getting his stick in there to throw a check. Terefenko trying to run through a couple people. Not going too well for him right now.
So the flag stops play. It is a holding call. 6:08 left in the first. Buckeyes 5, Terriers 2.
Let's see what we got here. "30-second penalty, so 30-second hold. So we'll see Ohio State's man-up team that did not do very well last week. Obviously, that was the point of emphasis Coach Myers talked about in our call this week. So we'll see, if they've changed it up, what they're going to do. Maybe just a little bit more practice to get comfortable, because there's a little bit of pressure on that man-up team, right? You got an extra guy, so you're always taught, you need to score on this. So maybe Those guys were a little nervous. They got Reed back in the mix, so maybe we'll see if he adds an element that was missing last week for him.
The penalty's on Brendan Homeyer. Jasinski struggling to pick it up, and he couldn't. So a mistake by the Buckeyes. Chase Levesque, the junior from Ridgefield, Connecticut, hold it away. And Boston clears it successfully.
That's the best case scenario right there for the Terrier team. Not a shot on goal. Simple mental error by Jasinski, right? Just dropping the ball. Now we'll be back to even probably relatively soon with only a 30-second penalty.
No, the penalty actually is already cleared.
Okay, good.
So BU finds themselves no worse for the wear. Jet Ziyama, freshman from Natick, Massachusetts, helping out on the attack here. Chris Gray, haven't really seen much from him yet.
Great job by Borders being physical on goal line extended. Okay, yep.
Finally, the flags come out.
Yeah, he was doing a nice job right there, goal line extended, being physical, and then that cross check just got a little high and on Matt Gray's back. So an easy call for the refs right there. We'll see what this one is. A hold, okay. Thought it might have been a push with possession, which is also a 30, but got him with the hold.
4:57 left in the first quarter, 5-2 Ohio State.
So now we'll see Ohio State's man down, which last week gave up 2 goals. So once again, something that they've been trying to work on this week in practice, and we'll see what kind of play BU comes out with. It'll probably be something for Gray or Burr. So obviously those are 2 guys that Ohio State needs to be aware of, especially with, I believe it was Burr stepping in early and putting one in the corner.
That shot was deflected, but didn't really roll away. It went off a Buckeye and stayed pretty playable for Ziyama and company.
I think another Ohio State player just took a shot off the back or something. Tried looking back at Skyler like, hey, we're doing your job for you right now.
Chris Gray misfired, and the Buckeye penalty is clear. We're back at full strength. In the meantime, I think it's at least worth pointing out that the Boston Terriers are playing indoors for only the 3rd time ever. Wow, what a great teamwork goal from LeClair to the far side. Myers dumped to Reed. No chance for McSorley to stop it. 6-2.
That was a great example of transitioning the ball from your end, right? Starts with a great goalie outlet pass, great decision making in the middle of the field, and letting the ball do the work for you, right? A lot of times you see guys who maybe try and run out of situations. Ball moves faster than the feet, and if you're the Boston team, right, that's not what you want to do. You don't want to have a turnover on your man up end. and then give up an easy goal, on your defensive end. So obviously, great job by Ohio State capitalizing on maybe some substitution issues for the Boston team, and then making it really easy. And obviously, Jackson Reed's glad to get on the board after he had missed the open look earlier in the game.
Starting to say that BU playing in just their third ever game inside, and of course their second one here as the Buckeyes claim yet another face-off. They've been really good in that regard so far. Is there a significant difference playing indoors versus outdoors? Obviously, the temperature is more controlled, right? But,
yeah.
There's no wind that's a factor. There's no precipitation, anything like that. What is the main difference?
I think it's just the background and the walls in the building, especially for goalies, right? And the backdrop of what's going on, right? Using a white ball, the walls in the Woody are, gray and white. So obviously, if you're not used to that, then that might present itself with an issue. But I believe that the BU team was able to get a practice in here. So maybe, obviously the Ohio State has a little bit of a home field advantage because they play in here, day in and day out and can see what's going on. But talking to some players, when I was playing and they would come in here, they would always say it's a little difficult to see the ball off the walls. But, it's better than being outside where it's 10 degrees right now. So I don't, I wouldn't mind it.
For them?
For both of us. If I was a visiting team, I'd be like, yeah, put us inside so that way I could feel my hands because it's a little unforgiving today in Columbus.
Tommy Nook turns back to his right and fires well too far wide right. That is an Ohio State ball.
And you're seeing
Cannon Donovan
a definite difference from last week, right? The Cleveland State team was very, very patient. We're seeing a lot of one dodge, trying to get a look to a shot of the Boston team. They obviously they have that green light from their coach trying to play a little up tempo. Obviously, I don't think it's a cause for them to panic, right? They're only down by 4, still over 3 quarters left in the game. But that's just something that can't happen on your end, right? An attackman getting beat out to a shot in the game of lacrosse, it's really nice. After a shot, the person closest to the ball get it back. And that's a great hustle play by the Ohio State team, right? Those are little things they look for to get some of those extra possessions to their explosive offense.
Big start for the Buckeyes. They're up 6-2 with 2:18 left in the first. Good work around. That one's tipped away. No reset of the clock. 35 seconds to shoot.
So now we're actually seeing a little bit of zone out of the BU team. So we're going to see Ohio State obviously look to slow it down a little bit. They're going to be forced to make some good passes. Very similar to a zone defense in basketball. Oh.
What a move by Jack Myers.
Never mind.
Fakes up top, bounces it through McSorley's legs, and it is 7-2 Ohio State. They are on pace to have a ridiculously high-scoring day.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of a repeat from last year where they jumped out to that 8-0 lead. The Boston team, credit them, right? They're trying to throw some different looks at them, but right now it just seems to be a lack of communication on the defensive end. And quite frankly, they haven't given their goalie McSorley a chance to really get into this game. He's been seeing a lot of on the doorstep, wide open looks, and obviously that's not going to be good for his confidence moving forward.
Well, let me ask you this, because you made the comment that BU, unlike last week against Cleveland State, BU is playing at that quicker tempo offensively. They're a little more aggressive, more willing to take shots. Given that they have found themselves now in a 5-goal hole and DeBerry comes away with it here, should they consider being a little bit more procrastinated in nature on the offensive side?
Yeah, I think their coaching staff is probably going to. I would tell them, let's make sure that we love the look that we get. Let's make sure we help our defense out, right? They've been playing a lot of defense in this first quarter already. Let's make sure we love the look. We know we can score goals. We know we've gotten our open looks on the offensive end. At any moment in time, you can get a dodge and a 10-yard shot on the run. But let's really make this Ohio State team work, because we saw last week when the Ohio State defense had to work for 40, 50, 60 seconds, some things just kind of happened where the Cleveland State team just found themselves wide open and were able to get some easy ones. So obviously they came out. They tried to make this game a little helter-skelter. A great job on defense right there by the short stick. But let's look for them to settle down, probably get the last shot on this last possession before the first quarter. Try and get some momentum to build on it, because right now they're on the helter-skelter on offense has not been helping out, and it's kind of caused them to be in this 5-goal hole right now.
Holmeyer to Cates as BU clears it. Shot clock really ineffective essentially here at the end of the quarter.
Yep.
We're at 37 seconds and counting. Boston controls, but they're down 7-2 already. They only gave up 7 goals in 60 minutes last week. Near side, a little bobble from Andrew Volk.
So probably look for this BU team to maybe go at under 15 seconds, so that way they can't have any transition against them to end the quarter here.
Couple little spin moves from Volk. Back up top, the shot deflected wide. We're at 10 seconds. Oh, great play
save
by Gray, and a better save from Skylar Wayland. Not entirely sure what happened with the stoppage, but it will be for BU out wide. And I think head coach Nick Myers is asking for a little clarification.
Coach Myers is about 10 yards on the field right now. He might as well be playing defense. He's getting away with being out here. Surprised the refs haven't given him a warning yet right there.
No shot off for Boston at the end of the quarter. We'll take a quick timeout. 1 quarter in the books. It is all Buckeyes. 7-2. Back to the Woody Hayes Center in Columbus in just a minute. Time for the start of the second quarter. And Ohio State gets off to a terrific start this afternoon. They have scored 6 of the last 7 goals in the game, and they lead by a score of 7-2. Alongside former Buckeye Dominique Alexander, I'm Brendan Gulick. Ohio State in white, Boston in red. Just the second ever matchup between the two sides. And Ohio State is in firm control early, but there's still a lot of game to go. One of the reasons they've played so well, they are dominating at the faceoff X.
Yeah, last week, I believe they went under 50%, and the staff wasn't happy about that. So obviously you can see they've been practicing it. The BU team looked for them to maybe throw a couple different faceoff guys out there, maybe use a long pole to try and tie up Anicio just to throw off his rhythm, because right now he's winning them pretty clean without any contest, and this is kind of wearing down this BU defense. They've already been playing a ton of defense in the first quarter. Now they're back to playing some more defense. We'll see if they've made some changes to what they were doing. They threw some zone, they had some man, right? But I think they obviously, just kind of let that first quarter get away from them. We'll see if it changes right now. Moving pick. Oh.
All right, so it goes back to BU. You could hear the Terriers sideline fired up.
Yep. That's a good start, right? They haven't had many stops in the first quarter, but obviously to start the second quarter with a stop. Let's see what they can do to get their offense the ball. Not to say that the BU offense is playing out of control necessarily, but they have been kind of looking to make the home run pass. Obviously, they've got 2 really good players in Burr and lost his name here, in Gray.
Gray, yep.
So we'll see if they try and keep getting those guys involved or if they go to some other guys. But I'd like to see them kind of let the shot clock play out. Let it go down to, inside of 20, inside of 10 seconds, right, to really work for a good shot instead of just coming down and trying to make the home run play.
Burr was losing his balance, let that one fall down, and Ohio State able to scoop it up. Now can they clear it? Whalen, the goalkeeper, gives it away. Good rotation to the opposite side of the field, and it's a free run for Ryan Terefenko.
Great physicality out of the Ohio State defense. Now you got Terefenko coming down two-way midi, kind of running this first 10 seconds of offense right here, setting a pick, trying to get some mismatches for the Ohio State attack.
Here's Trey LeClaire near side. He had a couple of eye-opening goals in that first quarter. Already 2 for him, 2 for Jasinski. Busey scored, Reed scored, Myers scored. Those are the 7 Buckeye tallies. 12:45 in the second period. Ohio State leads by a handful.
I believe Ohio State's got their second midfield line on right now. Busey's back in the game, Wiseman, and Colby Barker right here. So we'll see what they decide to initiate from. Looks like Wiseman's going to get things going for him.
He runs behind the cage. They work back to the near side. UC spins, goes up top. What a shot! Perfectly placed, Colby Barker. 8-2 Ohio State.
That was a textbook set right there by the Ohio State team, right? Starts with Wiseman, drawing the double team, swinging the ball through X, right? Not trying to do too much with it. Guy at X, right, immediately throws the ball to the backside. The reason you do that is Wiseman's drawn everyone's attention to one side of the field. You go to the backside, Busey gets it, right, handles the early pressure, makes a little quick dodge right there. Obviously, he's got the respect of the BU team because he scored early. Keeps his head up and finds a wide open Barker who steps down and puts the ball where the goalie's not. And a guy who had a hot game last week is struggling right now in net for Boston University. But, I mean, credit the Ohio State team. They've taken great shots. They haven't made him make easy saves right now. Usually, throwing the ball into the goalie's stick or hitting him allows him to get into a rhythm. But they're making him work in net, and they're putting the ball where he's not, and it's getting really tough for him in net right now.
McSorley feeds it up to the middle of the field. At least for BU, they won that faceoff. You're not going to run through Trey LeClaire. You're going to have to try to pass it around him. Pretty good check there from Brandon Barker. But BU makes it through. 11:55 in the second quarter. Ohio State 8, Boston 2. You almost wonder a little bit if BU is dealing with somewhat of just being shell-shocked early on. I think perhaps they expected, after playing Ohio State a little bit more competitively in the second half last year, that they might have had more momentum. And when they miss open looks right on the doorstep like that, it doesn't help your confidence. And all of a sudden, the offensive looks that Ohio State has capitalized on so quickly, now you're kind of looking at a pretty steep uphill battle the rest of the way.
Yeah, I can't speak for, obviously, what the BU team went through this week, but obviously I've played for Coach Myers, and there were certain things that he was not happy with that it seems as though he's addressed in practice. And obviously, every coach has got their methods of addressing those things. But, starting slow was not an option for this Ohio State team. And obviously, you're seeing that right now. They're flying around on defense. They're a lot more composed. They're not making any silly mistakes on the offensive end right now.
10 seconds on the shot clock here.
But, obviously the BU team's a little shell-shocked, but they're, still plenty of time. I don't want to say they're out of it. 6 goals, still over, half of lacrosse left, 10 minutes in this quarter. But from the things on offense, right, to run out of time there on the shot clock, not really get a good shot on net. On the defensive end, they've thrown zone. They've thrown different looks at Ohio State, and they don't seem to be working. It's going to get ugly pretty quickly if they don't get stops to start scoring some goals.
Far side, this is Jackson Reed. LeClaire up top. Jasinski's checked back on. Buckley holds, now to Jack. 10:28 and counting in the second. Ohio State trying to increase their lead. It's 8-2 at the moment.
So BU is back into their zone right now, and that's obviously one of the nice things about the shot clock era that we're currently in. You can go into that zone and you can know exactly how much time's left on that clock. Now that the clock is visible, it's not up to the refs anymore. We'll see if the BU team communicates a little bit better out of it. Ohio State scored earlier by them just lack of communicating, and the guy was able to walk right around the goal and put it in the back of the net. Ohio State with a 6-goal lead. Oh, there we go. That's a good save.
Finally,
right
a good
there.
save by Joe McSorley. Not sure if it would have gone in, but Jackson Reed certainly put a good shot on, relatively on target.
Yeah, that's still a really tough save. He's a righty goalie. He's got to reach across his body. Obviously his team has allowed him to make those. They still have confidence in him. You're usually going into a zone, right, that means you've got some confidence in your goalie because they're going to give up some outside shots. So obviously the coaching staff still has faith in him, even though he's given up 8 in the first half already.
Does it help the goalkeeper when he sees his defense in his zone and might have a little bit less in terms of moving parts in front of him?
Yeah, I think in a zone, right, you understand kind of where the ball's coming from, and you're expecting to see an outside shot. When you run man, things happen, right? Guys fall down. Guys end up open on the doorstep. It does cause maybe a little bit more confusion. But obviously in that zone, he seemed ready for that shot. He knew where it was coming from and was able to kind of track the ball a lot better.
Neat little try there from Gray after Burr originally missed the shot, but neither one of them have gone home. BU with 32 seconds on the shot clock, and we're at 9:05 in the second quarter. Good close down, a thread back toward the middle. Really good look. The shot deflected away.
Another shot hit an Ohio State defender.
Jared Nugent on the original shot. Now with some interference, it'll stay with
violation
BU and a fresh clock to work with.
See Burr drawing a lot of attention from the Ohio State defense, right? He's dodging a long pole, and a long pole slides over, gets right in his gloves, and makes it tough on him. Great job down there by Matt Borders, right? Sometimes the simplest of checks can dislodge the ball. Keeps his feet moving, throws a nice little poke check, and gets the ball out of the guy's stick.
I'll tell you what, for as well as Ohio State's played offensively right now, I think the team is thriving more on the energy that they're creating on the other end of the field.
Yeah, obviously, we live in a world where offense kind of rules the highlights and gets a lot of talk, but at the end of the day, right, defense still wins championships. That was, no more evident than the Super Bowl a couple weeks ago. And, if you're playing good defense and you're getting stops as an offensive player, that just allows you to relax, right? If maybe you make a mistake or you take a shot and the goalie makes a save, your guys down the defensive end have kind of got your back. And for the BU team, when they're seeing their their defense not get stops, it's probably causing concern on their end, and they're maybe doing a little bit too much on offense to try and make up for it.
Trey LeClaire was triple teamed, and right before he almost lost the ball, Nick Myers called timeout. I think that was a wise usage of a timeout, even though LeClaire had worked his way through that triple team.
Yeah.
We'll step aside, too. 7:45 left in the second. It's the Buckeyes 8 and the Terriers 2 on BTN+. 7:45 left in the second quarter. It's Ohio State 8, Boston University 2. The Buckeyes have the ball on offense with 30 seconds left in the shot clock. Trey LeClaire was in a tight spot, so Coach Myers asked to stop play. And now Ohio State will resume. It'll be in Jasinski's stick as things get rolling again. Ohio State offensively has been really good. 9 of their 12 shots on goal, and 8 of those 9 have gone in. Only one save for McSorley so far. BU has already allowed more goals today than they gave up last week, and we are just past the midway point of the second quarter. Jasinski bounces one in. It's 9-2 Buckeyes. And a hat trick for Jasinski for the second week in a row.
Jasinski is a tough guard for anybody, and putting him back in the midfield, right, adds a dimension to the Ohio State offense that wasn't there last week when he was playing attack, being primarily guarded by a long stick. Now back in the midfield, right, there's a 2/3 chance that he's going to be guarded by a short stick, and you got to send help because his change of direction is second to none. And the BU defender did a great job of kind of staying with him, but one false step allows him to get topside. That's his second lefty goal. From a predominantly right-handed player. So you can see he's been working on that, added that to his game. So
the Buckeyes have made a change here at the face-off X. Christian Feliziani, a junior from Boothwyn, Pennsylvania, will take his first face-off. Right now, Ohio State has won 8 of the 12 face-offs, and Feliziani makes it 9 of 13.
Yeah, and there's not much drop-off in the Ohio State face-off unit. Those guys get after it every single day. They challenge each other, push each other. So he's coming in, getting his chance right now, rocking that 23. I could see that. That's my number from back in the day.
No, that's him. Did he clear that with you ahead of time?
I've been trying to tell Coach, hey, we got to make sure, the guys wearing this, are representing well. But obviously, he's getting his chance early in this game, so he's going to make the most of it to prove to the coaching staff that he can be put out there and trust to make the right decisions.
6:45 left in the first half. This has been a one-sided matchup so far. Buckeyes lead 9-2.
BU back in the zone, just kind of not necessarily trying to stop the bleeding right now, but just trying to slow it down. It's been an onslaught all half. Everything's been working.
Trey LeClaire's shot partially deflected by Quentin Germain, who's got a long stick. This one is offensively picked up by Reed.
I think he took that one off of his head. So good for the new technology and helmets nowadays, keeping the players safe because that thing was probably moving at 95+ miles an hour, and all Trey did was step and snap his wrist.
And the good news for Germain is that he looks no worse for the wear.
Yep.
All right, the Buckeyes give it away. An empty possession that hasn't happened too often, but a win for BU under 6 minutes in the first half.
Yep. BU goes into that zone, right, uses the clock to their advantage. Ohio State's trying to get, move too quickly on the offensive end, and it causes the turnover. Uh-oh.
Well, you got to get it across the midfield line within 20 seconds now with that shot clock. And I think McSorley started to feel the pressure, and when he flung it up the pitch, Ohio State intercepts it.
Yeah, great job by the Ohio State attack and midfield group. They create this, zone in the middle of the field where they're not necessarily pressing, not getting out of character. As a team clearing the ball, it forces you to make passes in really tight spaces. And if you're not confident in your stick work, and if the other player is going to catch on the other end, it can cause for some confusion. So great job by the Ohio State team riding.
Good block. Excellent pick set by Reed. Colby Smith finishes by bouncing one past McSorley. And the Buckeyes are in double figures, 10-2 in the second quarter.
Yeah, so Ohio State runs their zone set right there. So just like in basketball, right, you set a pick on somebody, and then that causes the defense either have to rotate, or if they don't rotate, you can step in hands free. So they set a pick on the wing that he comes off of it, right, scot-free. And, great shot. You can tell Coach Ross has really drilled home shooting off hip, right? Off stick side. McSorley's really had to work. Everything's been low or off stick side, which are really tough saves for a goalie to make, at any level. They haven't given him anything easy to save, and that's, credit to Coach Ross and the Ohio State staff for kind of drilling that home this week in practice.
Feliziani back at the center X. 5:03 left in the first half, and he wins his second consecutive face-off.
Yeah, these are backbreakers right now. One thing I think the coaching staff from Ohio State last week, they thought that when they had chances to kind of seize an opportunity to really put the game away, they didn't. They let kind of Cleveland State kind of creep back into it and hang around. A point of emphasis was, when you have a team, right, with a 4-goal lead, stretch it to 5, stretch it to 6, right? Don't allow them to get back into it. They wanted to clean up things at the face-off X, and that's looked amazing this afternoon so far.
Jackson Reed took a couple of slashes there from Nick Muller's long stick, and he looked like he was favoring his right elbow a bit, but Reed looks okay.
Those definitely don't feel too good for sure.
Buckley on the near side. Remember, this game was tied at 1. It's now 10-2 Ohio State. Little dump pass underneath. Missed Reed's stick, but the Buckeyes didn't lose possession.
A little bit of a force, but when you have an 8-goal lead, right, you can take those opportunities and try different things.
Jack Myers, first career start for him. So far, so good. Shot clock's at 12.
You can start to see these possessions kind of wear on this Boston team, right? Looking, a step slower.
He was kind of tripped as he...
25-yard line got him on that one.
Yeah. Tripped over the turf monster.
I'm going to let him know about that when I see him. Quickest guy. Sometimes those fast guys, move too quickly for themselves. So,
shot coming from right in the crease from Omeyer, and it missed. This one's loose in front, and a wide open miss. May have been whistled dead, anyways. Boy, when it rains, it pours, I guess, is probably the best way to say it. This has just been a frustrating afternoon for BU fans.
Yeah, Schuyler gave up a rebound, got a little antsy moving out of the cage there, and his defenseman was looking to get the ball back to him and ended up almost scoring on their own goal. But, for Ohio State, right, things are going their way this afternoon.
Well, time of possession, probably by a margin of almost 2-1 in favor of Ohio State here in this first half. 2:52 and counting, 10-2 Buckeyes.
Looks as though BU is back into their man defense, so we'll see what Ohio State goes to. They got the invert set going, so they're setting a pick behind from Musey, trying to cause some confusion.
LeClaire wants so badly to pull the trigger every time he's got it. Maybe an opening, but a shot missing wide from Griffin Hughes. Myers gets there, stays down this end.
Great job by Hughes on the redodge, getting back to the middle of the field to increase his angle.
Dumped in front, stick knocked out of Reed's hand. Boy, did he get involved in a tight spot.
Yeah, a little bit of a force, for BU guys standing around there. A little frustration setting on their part, and they make sure they don't give up any more goals this half. Trying to lock it down. If you're BU, man, you're looking to get maybe 1 or 2 to get this thing to 6 if possible. That's a little bit more manageable than 8. But to give up any more goals here, you're really digging yourself a hole going into the second half.
1:55 on the clock. Shot clock is at 50. And Boston takes their time making sure they get the personnel out on the field they want. As Nugent gave it back up over right side. Volk charging toward the cage. This is Gray. A wide open look. What a save by Wayland. Tommy Nook rockets one. And Wayland deflects it away.
Great save by Schuyler right there. Retracts the ball, uses his head actually to make that save. But he was all over that one. I mean, he tracked the ball well. That's what you want to see out of a freshman goalie, right? The first couple goals, kind of doorsteps, didn't really have a good chance to look at him, but now he's kind of settled in. Obviously, an 8-goal lead helps with that, but, those outside shots are things that he's definitely capable of saving. It's going to be a
flag comes out, and the Buckeyes will get called for the penalty. But you're right, that's probably the first wide-open, one-on-one, you're going to try to score on me kind of look that Wayland's had to deal with.
Yeah.
And he answered the call that time.
Yeah, we mentioned it. Like, the Ohio State defense has been absolutely flying around so far. Playing physical in front of their freshman goalie, trying to make it as easy for him as possible. They're going to be man down here. BU had a turnover on their last man up opportunity, so We'll see what they go back to.
Timmy Lee dishes off. Carson had it behind the cage. Now Gray circles up top. Couple of quick passes. A mishandled exchange. Burr trying to pick it up. Wayland had come all the way out of the cage, and you can sense the frustration from head coach Ryan Pauly. He whisked his hood around as he spun out onto the field and called for a timeout. I think he recognizes the necessity here to at least get one and get his team feeling better about themselves with just 1:07 left in the first half, down 10-2.
Oh, for sure.
So the Buckeyes will try to clamp down defensively. Let's take a look at the upcoming schedule for Ohio State. After opening here at home, they'll be on the road at UMass next weekend. It's a Saturday game at 1 o'clock. They'll come home the following weekend, Saturday the 23rd, to host Bucknell at noon. Then back-to-back road games against Marquette and Hofstra. The Marquette game is actually at a neutral site. They'll play in the Patriot Cup in Dallas, Texas. After the Bucknell game on February 23rd, the next time Ohio State's at home, they've got Denver on March 16th.
That'll be a good game to go to for sure.
That would be an awfully fun one to attend. Ohio State will go to Notre Dame, and then they dive right into the heart of the Big Ten with hosting Rutgers, at Penn State, at Johns Hopkins, at home against Maryland, and at Michigan to wrap up the regular season April 26th. This is a team that is still kind of figuring itself out, but they've got some pretty high aspirations, and if the first two games of this season are any indication of what their ceiling and capability might be, perhaps this could be a special year for men's lacrosse in Columbus.
Obviously, BU's looking to kind of score quick here. They're obviously, all their guys have green lights, and they've been able to get some decent looks off at the goal.
The shot clock and game clock are essentially the same here, separated by less than 1 second. So there's 53 seconds left in the first half.
Yeah, BU's got Burr and Gray up top, obviously two of their main playmakers.
Ziyama.
Back to all even right now. If you're BU, definitely, right, worst case scenario is that this ball dies, at this end of the field. You definitely don't want to cause a turnover or give yourself a turnover that allows Ohio State to push transition and score another one before the half. Obviously, best case scenario is getting a goal.
Well, they are certainly trying down to 24 seconds, taking a couple of shots here, but haven't worked out yet. "15 seconds before halftime. Ziyama couldn't quite pull the trigger. Terriers are running out of options here. 5 seconds. Omeyer, and finally it goes in. Boy, that was absolutely perfect for Boston. They worked it down to 3 seconds, and James Burr threads one in.
Yeah, that's what we've been wanting them to do this whole entire half, right, is make Ohio State play defense. They had the penalty. They didn't turn it over, right? Then they get the ball back, or they get all even with 40-some seconds left. They run their offense. They're being patient. They take a couple shots, right? Don't hit the back of the net, and they finally kind of wear this Ohio State defense down, which is great. Now I bring this lead back to 7. A little bit more manageable going into half with 30 minutes still left to play, but we'll see if they can kind of build on that and continue going into the second half with that momentum.
I'll correct myself here. It was actually freshman Jack Collins that came up with the goal. And there is the halftime horn. Well, even though it ends with a positive note for Boston, it was largely a frustrating first half for the Terriers. Ohio State, 10 goals on 17 shots, only 1 save by Joe McSorley. And the Buckeyes have a 10-3 lead at the half. We'll step aside for roughly 15 minutes. When we come back, we'll have second half action for you. It's the Ohio State Buckeyes 10 and the Boston Terriers 3. You're watching Ohio State Men's Lacrosse live today from the Woody Hayes Center on BTN+. All right, welcome back on BTN+, where the Ohio State Buckeyes and Boston Terriers are just about ready to start the second half, with Ohio State decisively out front right now by a 10-3 margin. Alongside former Buckeye Dominique Alexander, I'm Brendan Gulick. This was not the first half the Terriers hoped for, coming off a nice win to open the season against Providence. Ohio State had a far more offensive first half today than they did last week against Cleveland State. Let's start with some keys to the second half. I would imagine some of that has to be in the face-off circle for BU, where they finally get one here.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Ohio State dominated the face-off X in the first half. That's a huge momentum right there for BU. They scored a goal to end the first half, and then obviously they opened up the second half by getting the opening face-off. So look for them to build slowly, right? As I've had coaches in the past tell me, you can't get everything back in one goal. So obviously they're going to chip away at this lead. But one thing that BU started doing towards the end of the first half was taking their time and being a little bit patient on offense. At the beginning of the game, they're a little bit run and gun, a little haphazard with the ball, and that kind of burned them. Great save by Whalen right there.
Terrific save by Whalen. He's made a couple of nice ones in his first start of his college career. And by the way, it's not that Josh Curson struggled last week. I thought he actually played fine. But Whalen gets the opportunity here today.
Yeah, I think throughout the fall, both goalies kind of, played relatively even, and obviously Skyler this week has proven to himself to get that start. But going back to BU's offense, I thought it was a great look down there on the offensive end. They get a wide open look, right? They force the goalie to make a really tough save. They come back on defense, where they struggled. They're in their zone now. They're trying to kind of take the air of the ball, right? Make Ohio State play a little bit slower. Ohio State, I think, from an athletic standpoint, did a nice job of getting their dotters in the right spots. And now they're going to test Ohio State's stick work a little bit to see how they can move the ball in the perimeter and make quick decisions.
Shot clock's at 35, opening 2 minutes of the second half.
You see Trey has drawn a lot more attention. He's got the long ball out there, stretched out in the zone.
LeClaire with another goal. A hat trick for him.
Like every time
he joins Jasinski. Both of them hat tricks in the first 2 games of the season. And the Buckeyes are clicking on all cylinders. 11-3. We've got just 1:33 that's ticked off here in this third quarter.
Yeah, and that's a staple in the Ohio State offense is when they see zone, they like to get the ball to the wings instead of pick, right? What that does is that causes you to either rotate or get a guy hands-free. In that rotation, I'm not sure out of the BU defense why they're so slow to slide to Trey LeClaire with his hands-free. Once again, the last two weeks, he has not had to work particularly hard for goals. Obviously, that's going to start changing as they get through the schedule. But, once again, you want to make it tough on him to score goals and get his hands free and make him become a feeder, right? Make him get other guys involved because he is a shoot-first kind of guy.
All right, so the Buckeyes win it. And a little extracurricular from Ohio State's side. Christian Feliziani, who has been at the face-off X now here for a bit.
Great defensive check right there by the... Ooh.
Holy moly. Not going to see a bigger hit all game than one Johnny Wiseman just laid on the Terriers.
Nope. Johnny, a former football player, safety. He's made a couple of those hits in his day as a football player. We call those a hospital pass, right in the middle of the field. Sometimes it's better to look up to make sure that no one's coming, or it's not going to go well for your teammate.
I have not heard that terminology, but it seems to fit pretty well. The hospital pass. We'll keep that one tucked away.
Hey, you might be going if that ball gets there, and guys like Johnny are lining you up. But great clean hit, uses the shoulder, doesn't lead with the head. Just similar to football, the point of emphasis in lacrosse is hitting guys that aren't paying attention and to make the game safer for everybody. Turnover right there by Ohio State. See if Boston U can create something in transition here.
Yeah, Reese Eddy with some great stick work defensively to force the missed pass. We're at 11-3 Buckeyes. Some pretty chippy work the other end by Donovan. Remember, he's playing in his first start of the year. 11:56 and counting here in the third quarter.
Oh.
And the offside flag comes. The Buckeyes a little frustrated that they jumped.
Yeah, and that subbing game, when you're subbing through the midfield, right, you're trying to get a jump so that way you don't give up numbers. But Ohio State player kind of mistimed when his player would cross the midfield line. Easy call for the refs. So we'll see what Boston U does with 35 seconds left, knowing they'll get the ball back.
Plenty of time to be patient. Wait for the shot they want. Oh, good find in front. How did Whalen make that save? Andrew Volk right in front of the cage, and he's denied.
Skylar pulling the tricks out of the bag right there. A big save by the freshman. Definitely going to help with the confidence. stuffing the Boston U player on the doorstep. And that's kind of that confidence we talked about, right? Ohio State flying around in front of Whalen in the beginning of the game allowed him to settle in, and then obviously you're seeing, why he is starting as a freshman in this game right now. I think he's done a great job of making the saves he's supposed to make. He's done a pretty good job in the clearing game, making sure he gets rid of the ball. So Boston U back up again.
And just a 30-second penalty on Joey Salisbury for the offside. They've got Chris Gray up top here. Gray to his left. James Burr, who's got a real rocket of a right arm. Back to Burr, lets that one go, and Skyler got screened. Didn't really have a chance to see around Evan Riss, and Burr buries one in the upper 90.
Yeah, I mean, Burr did a great job of shooting around the defender, right? Using him as a screen, hiding the head of his stick, and he puts that one in the top right corner. Great job by Burr.
11-4 Ohio State, 10:58 left, third quarter. And so with that goal, a successful man up for the Terriers. Maybe that'll be a catalyst for them the rest of the way.
Yeah, I mean, 7 goals, shot clock, they're tightening up a little bit defensively. Obviously no need to panic right now. Still plenty of time left to get 7 goals for sure.
In the meantime, you've got Inacio back in the faceoff X. Did you notice anything that may have caused the reason for him to go back out there? I know Coach Myers didn't seem to be happy with Feliziani when he came out last time.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're just trying to establish some, in these early season games, you're trying to get guys reps to establish some sort of depth, right? Making sure you don't come too reliant on one guy. I think you throw somebody out that doesn't have a lot of game experience. Justin had done a great job in the first half, and they gave Feliziani some reps, and obviously, they felt going back with the experience to kind of get this thing going in the right direction again. Generally speaking, you want to have at least 2 guys you can go to at the face-off X, for injury purposes, for, if guys get tired. It doesn't look like much, but it is pretty tiring having to go through a face-off, right? You're down there chasing after the ball, especially as you get later in the season when it starts getting hotter out. You want to make sure you have enough guys to make sure you can win those face-offs and play that kind of make-it-take-it lacrosse.
Burr strikes again, and the emphatic fist bump ignites the Terriers.
Here we go. Now we got ourselves a game a little bit. Great job. It seems as though they've got Gray kind of doing all the dodging, and then Burr's more of the off-ball guy. He did a great job of just waiting for the defenseman to turn his back. He cut back door and then put the ball where the goalie has it. And for a goalie to track the ball behind the cage and then turn around and try to find the ball is extremely difficult.
Ohio State 11, Boston 5. 10:26 left, third quarter. So a good start for BU here in the second half. Ohio State 11 of 17 on the faceoff so far, and Inacio trying to pull this one in. Finally controls it. Well done. Inacio basically had a free run toward the cage, but dumped it out to Reed instead, and Ohio State will set up.
It's a great ground ball by Inacio right there. Keeping the ball tight to his chest, right? That's something I teach younger players, right? When you pick the ball up, right, put it tight to your body. So that way if guys are throwing checks, they can't dislodge it from you, right? No point in doing all that work and getting the ball and having it taken away from you right away.
But you can't trap it against your chest.
Yeah,
that's
you can.
the key.
Yep, exactly. Kind of find that healthy balance. Sometimes you can get away with it, right, if the refs don't have a good angle in order to get out of some of those scrums.
Nice little spin move from Colby Smith.
Yeah, so I think Ohio State just got to keep running their offense. Don't let the ball die in their stick. They got the pick set going, trying to create some matchups. Now we got Jasinski with a short stick, which is tough for anybody. Oh, great check.
Don't want to get complacent. That was a beautiful check by Jake Cates.
Cates throwing the great wrap check right around Jasinski.
Great ball movement. Homeyer to Gray to Burr. Burr scores 3 goals in the blink of an eye. And Boston has an 11-6 hole now.
Great job, right? Defense triggering that offense. It was kind of the opposite way for Ohio State in the first half, right? Their defense was triggering their offense and getting stops. Now we're seeing the BU defense kind of woken up. Great check down here by the short stick D midi, right? Run the field, right, in this new age of lacrosse where we got two-way middies, guys pushing the ball, making decisions in transition, and then you get it to your 2 best stick handlers and goal scorers in Gray and Burr, and they do the rest of the work for you.
This is the first time all afternoon that Ohio State has faced any semblance of adversity. It was 1-1 within the first couple minutes, and then the Buckeyes quickly scored 8 of the next 9 goals and have had a very big lead. Well, they've got a lot of whistles here.
So I believe we had a legal procedure, which means that someone on the Ohio State end came out of the box too early before the official yelled possession. So we got BU with some momentum right now, right? They scored a couple goals. They're winning faceoffs, and this game is very resemblant as to what happened last year, where Ohio State jumped out to that early lead, and then BU fought back in the second half. A little bit less of a deficit than last year, so we'll see, what this BU team decides to do, playing with a lot of confidence right now. Like you mentioned, right, Ohio State's dealing with some adversity, so we'll see how they handle this.
By the way, 4 goals now for Burr in the game and 6 on the season in his first 2 games of the year.
Great job on ball by Ryan Tarafinko. Playing tough physical on ball, allows the slide guy to slide to him nice and easy. Doesn't prevent any giving the offense to the BU team.
Buckeyes in white, Terriers in red. Boston is down 11-6, but they've got it here with a flag coming out.
Probably going to be a unnecessary roughness. I believe Borges kind of ran through the pick guy, and lacrosse now allowed to just blow those pick guys up. If you run through them because you don't see them, that's fine, but if you turn your head and you kind of just run them over, the refs are usually going to ding you for something.
Really good defense. Forces a missed shot in the middle. Tarafinko was there, as well as Borges. I think it forced Jack Collins to fling his body in an awkward position. So the cross-check, 1-minute penalty.
Yep. And this is kind of what Coach Myers was hoping to avoid, right? Kind of some of these penalties, turnovers, mistakes that allow a team to get back in it, right? Ohio State, is a team that aspires to make it back to championship weekend. And you can't just let teams back into games, right? You got a 10-3 lead. Now you're looking at 11-6. You're fouling, giving a team an extra opportunity.
Ziyama rips it off a defender. That couldn't have felt good, but Jeff Henrick will.
It's the second time Henrick's been hit with a shot. He tried to get out of the way of that one, but obviously couldn't. Skyler's thinking him on that one. Ooh, great job.
Wow, how about a 5-goal game for James Burr? The senior from Hamilton, Massachusetts, is putting on a clinic.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Burr's the catch-and-shoot guy in this offense, and you like to see Ohio State pay some more attention to him, right? Obviously, coming into this game, we knew last week he scored a bunch of goals for the Boston team. Even if it's a man-down situation, doing something to get a stick on his hands to prevent him from being able to catch and shoot easy like that. Now we got ourselves a game, 4-goal lead with plenty of time left, and now this is anybody's game. Ohio State's got to make some stops, win some faceoffs, and get it going again.
One of 3 captains on the team this year. Burr had a career-high 45 goals last year. Career best 56 points. He was the first Terrier to score 40 goals in a season. DeBerry dumps it over to LeClaire. It's time to LeClaire. Yeah. Right in the middle, 12-7, and put the squash on the BU run.
Yep, and that's what you look for if you're Ohio State, right? You're looking for one of your big-name players to step up. Starts with a face-off, tough ground ball. Omari DeBerry comes down, makes an easy decision in transition, and obviously, Trey is a moving freight train, right? No one's really getting in the way of him.
I'm not.
No. So he catches the ball moving, runs through the check, and finishes it right down the middle of the goal.
Chase Levesque was getting an earful from head coach Ryan Polley. By the way, how about a congratulations to assistant coach Matt Silberlicht. He was named the head coach for the Israeli national team.
Awesome.
That is a huge honor for him and something the BU community is awfully proud of.
So we'll see if Ohio State kind of settles down in the second half, right? BU's been kind of throwing the punches, and on the offensive, Ohio State's been reeling. Get the second face-off.
Well, Tarafinko with half of the third quarter gone. The Buckeyes' lead went from 8 at the very end of the second quarter, 7 at halftime. It's now cut to 5 after the LeClaire goal.
Ohio State rolling their first midfield line back out right now. I think they've scrapped the idea of having a short stick on Trey LeClaire. They got a long pull on him and a long pull on Jasinski, which is
probably a better idea.
Probably a much better idea, so we'll see how that goes.
Good work by Myers.
Great job by Myers drawing out the double team there. Great job by the BU team. Now they're sliding aggressively. They're throwing their sticks around a little bit, getting the gloves. Made it really tough for him to pass the ball out of that double team.
LeClaire takes a shot. Nice save. Probably the best save we've seen McSorley make the whole afternoon.
Great save. Oh, great
beautiful
handle.
Oh. Boy, this is getting crazy. All of a sudden, Boston U is playing with reckless abandon. They go all the way up the field with no time at all, and it's 12-8.
Great job, right? Once again, defense transitioning to offense. We start with a great save. McSorley hasn't made many of them so far this game, but he's starting to make the ones that count. Leads to a great catch by Brendan Homeyer in the middle of the field there, right? Kind of almost bending backwards, catching with one hand. And now this BU team's got some momentum, right? You can hear them down the sideline, and Ohio State obviously calling a timeout so that way they can kind of gather themselves and get it going.
Timeout Buckeyes. James Burr, for the third time in his career, has matched a best 5 goals in a game. And Chris Gray, who now has his 4th of the season, is on the board as well. Terriers making this one a little more interesting. It's 12-8 with 6:24 left in the third quarter. You're watching the Ohio State Buckeyes on BTN+. All right, with 6:24 left in the third quarter, and the Ohio State Buckeyes leading 12-8. Coach Myers called a timeout, and he's made a change in between the pipes. Skylar Wayland played pretty well in his collegiate debut, but Josh Kirsten is now in goal.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Skylar's seen some really tough shots down the stretch with Burr kind of getting loose with his hands free on the man up and then on the different fast break situations. But, you see this done in lacrosse and sports like hockey where you just got to change things up to maybe spark the team a little bit, give somebody else another opportunity. Obviously Kirsten being a right-handed goalie and Skylar being a left-handed goalie from a strategy standpoint, this might change up how the Boston team shoots and it may make it easier for Kirsten because they've been shooting against a lefty goalie the entire game. So we'll see how it plays out. And Ohio State, right, it's a 4-goal game. Now they need stops on defense. They haven't been able to do so with penalties and giving up easy transition goals. And Burr and Gray have been able to make things click for the Boston team on their end. And Ohio State's got to stop these guys. Obviously, they're part of the game plan, but there's a reason why they're good because even if you game plan for them, they can still find ways to put the ball in the back of the net.
A crease violation goes back to the Buckeyes. And look, Meek, maybe the fact of the matter is that this Ohio State team came out swinging early on, but with some of these rule changes, with the shot clock instituted, with the increased number of possessions in the game, falling behind by 8 goals the way BU did, it's not good. It's not ideal by any stretch, but maybe it's not quite as alarming as it once was, because here we are still just over halfway through the third, and now down by 4. It doesn't feel nearly as insurmountable.
No, I mean, like I said, right, they got the goal at the end of the first half, and they opened up the second half by scoring, so obviously it allows you to get back into it. If you're the Ohio State team, right, you're looking now at the scoreboard, like how do we have a 7-goal lead go to a 4-goal lead, and they're not necessarily playing that well right now. They haven't really been able to get their offense going. Obviously, they got Trey on a fast break. But it's just kind of one of those things, similar to last week, we talked to Coach Myers about just putting that foot down, putting that nail, those final nails in the coffin to kind of bury a team or allow them to hang around for a little bit. Got some penalty action down here for the BU team.
Yeah, late flag comes in after BU had made the stop. We'll see what the whistle's for, but Colby Smith shaking his hand and probably getting some of those rubber pellets out of his glove.
Yeah, those things get everywhere. So annoying. I believe we got an unnecessary roughness call.
Okay.
Yeah, unnecessary roughness. So I think it's going to be a 1-minute penalty for the Ohio State team, whose man up has struggled the last 2 weeks. So we'll see if they can get something going and kind of add to this lead a little bit.
Buckeyes have 12 goals on 14 shots on frame. McSorley still in the cage for Boston. Terefenko to the corner. Myers around back. Jasinski flashes in the middle. LeClaire.
BU team's doing a great job of getting their sticks in the passing lane. That causes confusion as an offense player right here. They get a little tip. That's what you teach to your defensive guys, right? When you're a man down, you got to use those 6-foot sticks, right? Get them off your hip. Get them up in passing lanes. Maybe you'll pick off a pass or knock down a pass. But the biggest thing about man up is...
Smith with a rocket into the top corner of the goal. 12-8 Ohio, or I should say 13-8 Ohio State.
Ooh-wee. Colby Smith bringing it from deep. I mean, that's just a great shot. There's not much you can do about it, right? As a man down team, you force the outside shot and hope your goalie can make a save. But when the ball's moving that fast and the guys can get his whole body behind it, very difficult. Or even for a guy at the skill level like McSorley, probably wishes he had that one back. Obviously Barker dropped his hands a little bit, so trying to track that ball is a little bit more difficult. But great job by the Ohio State man up team. Not sure if that's how they drew it up, but guy sees his opportunity, steps in, and puts the ball in the back of the net.
Well, the way they drew it up, I'm sure, was to capitalize with the goal.
Yep.
And mission accomplished. So the Buckeyes' lead is 5 with under 4 minutes to play in the third. A hold on the Buckeyes. Flag comes out.
Okay, so
what was the violation? Did you catch it?
So I believe he was holding, or maybe trying to. Sometimes those face-off guys maybe use their hand to gain advantage.
Sure.
So because that was his Ohio State's third face-off violation, BU will actually get a 30-second penalty right now. So one of those new rules that was added a couple of years ago. If you have 3 face-off violations, then you get assessed, or the other opponent team gets a 30-second man-up opportunity.
Myers will serve it. That's freshman Jack Myers. BU down 5. Good rotation, but they bobble a pass at a tight spot.
Great check.
Sure was. That's leaving Jack Collins a little bit mangled. Ohio State trying to successfully clear it.
Oh.
Evan Riss couldn't come up on the receiving end.
Tough turnover for Ohio State right there. You get the stop you want, can't get it to your attack.
And the Buckeyes are back at full strength. .3:14 left in the third quarter. Ohio State 13, Boston 8. Alongside former Buckeye Dominique Alexander, I'm Brendan Gulick.
I feel like you got this Boston team playing with a lot more confidence than they did in the first.
Sure.
They look a little bit faster on offense, a little bit that pep in their step. Some of their role players are a little bit more comfortable handling the ball, but obviously you know who it starts with. Woo!
A shot that rattles off the post. James Burr was looking for a new career high. He's already got 5. Look, I almost feel like this Boston team came out in the second half and said, we're down 10-3, we got nothing to lose and a lot of game left. Let's get back to the way we know how to play.
Yeah, I think they're just making better decisions on offense. I think they're just making the easy play, letting the ball do the work for them. They were kind of forcing in the first.
Good rotation. Burr misses low left.
Oh, man.
Big save by the Buckeyes. Terefenko to DeBerry up the middle of the field.
Buckeyes got luck in that possession. Burr, hands free, hit the pipe twice in that possession.
LeClaire was held as he shot it. No flag.
Great lift right there by the Boston player to get underneath his bottom hand, kind of prevent him from following through. Nice job.
So the Buckeyes will patiently make sure they get the right unit out there. Colby Barker hanging to it. 2 minutes left in the third quarter. Shot clock is at 43. LeClaire in trouble, diving, and the flag comes out. Appears that perhaps he was tripped as Ohio State's possession continues.
Push or a cross check or something. He ended up in the crease. I'm not sure why play didn't stop, because usually even if it's a penalty and you end up in the crease, they should stop play, but guess they're letting him play on.
Myers spins and shoots high. Scooped up by Reed. Shot clock's at 10. But again, with the penalty flag, the Buckeyes know they'll have it. Is there an opening here for UC? LeClaire rattled that one partially off of Quentin Germain's long stick.
I think we would have put that one on net. McSorley actually didn't even see it go by him. He used the defenders and his own players as a screen there, and I think he puts that on net. He actually might have scored. Let's see what the call is. Push. So we had a push. So it's going to be a 30-second penalty for the Buckeyes.
13-8 Ohio State. 1:14 left in the third quarter. So the Buckeyes could run out the entire clock if they wanted to. But with a man up, they'll take a good look.
Obviously, see Barker drawing a lot of attention after he stepped in from about 15 yards last one. Don't want to get in that opportunity again.
Myers behind the cage, dumps it back. Smith with a teammate ducking in front. Apparently, it's going back to BU.
Really?
Referee on the far side saw something illegal.
Interference call probably inside there.
So the penalty is killed off, and Boston does not allow a goal. Oh, great interception by LeClaire. Trey cuts to the middle, and it's jarred free by Chris Gray. Equally as impressive on defense.
Yeah, I mean, got an attackman backpedaling with Trey LeClaire coming down at him. He makes a nice check. Trey tried to go for the swim move there. But, you know, sometimes it's simple as checks, right? Throw your stick in there, kind of disrupt that motion.
15 seconds left in the third quarter. Sort of an underhand scooping shot from Brendan Omeyer that misfired. 12.5 seconds left in the third quarter. And the Buckeyes bring it up the field quickly enough to get a shot off.
Ooh.
That was almost deflected in. Boy, that was a pretty decent look. You get the buzzer to end the third quarter.
Nifty play by Jack Myers, kind of checking the defenseman's stick and creating some confusion.
Boston 5, Ohio State 3 in that third quarter, and so the Buckeyes' lead is trimmed to a handful. Fourth quarter action coming when we come back on BTN+. Time for the start of the fourth quarter. It's the Ohio State Buckeyes 13 and the Boston Terriers 8. Alongside former Buckeye Dominique Alexander and current professional player, I should add, I'm Brendan Gulick. We don't want to miss your credentials.
Oh yeah, appreciate it. Definitely.
And amateur meteorologist, I understand. Told you I was going to sneak it in.
Couple opinions here and there about the weather. You're trying to get me to think it's 50 degrees outside. I know better than that.
Buckeyes lead by a handful. And Ohio State wins the faceoff, which is a refreshing change after a third quarter that saw them typically on the wrong end of that.
Yeah, Boston got themselves back into this game, and you know it starts with faceoffs, taking care of the ball. They were able to get this deficit down to 5. So we'll see if Ohio State can hold on to this lead or if Boston can make a run. You know, obviously the main guys from Boston getting involved, Burr and Gray, are kind of making them click on the offensive end. But some good transition for the Boston team was huge, right? They were getting stops, getting saves from McSorley, putting the ball on the ground, and then getting up and out and pushing transition, which allowed them to get some easy ones and get their offense some confidence that really struggled in the first half.
Ohio State perhaps being a little more patient here. Jasinski with his back to the goal. Maybe the most explosive player in all of Division I college lacrosse. I really don't think that's an overstatement. He's an All-American, and he is ridiculously agile. Jackson Reed was ready to take a shot, and it was checked out of his stick. BU has resurrected their defense in the second half, and it's keeping them very much alive in this game.
Yeah, it's like they had Mike's secret stuff at halftime from Space Jam because in the first half, you know, they were looking around. They had, you know, short sticks on Trey and Jack and letting them get easy doorstop goals. And now they're, you know, playing physical. They're, you know, throwing some nice time trail checks, putting the ball on the ground, really causing some issues for the Ohio State defense. So credit the BU coaching staff for, I don't know whether it be a pep talk or just making adjustments or the senior leadership out of this team. But they really showed up, you know, for their goalie here in the second half. And it's obviously proven as they close in on this Ohio State lead.
Burr has been the real catalyst today, but you can't lose track of where Gray is on the field. He dives away from the cage.
Oh.
The flag comes out, and play stops.
That's a tough call. As a defenseman, I don't agree with that call. The forever push into the crease, or is it the guy falling into the crease, right? Making the ref make a decision. Sometimes it goes your way, sometimes it doesn't. So Borges is going to be out for 30 seconds here, and BU will be back on the man up.
Well, they've been much better on their man-up opportunities since the beginning of this game. Ohio State's lead is 5. It doesn't necessarily feel as comfortable, though, as it did early on when they were up 10-2.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a tale of two halves, right? And once again, it's literally a mirror of last year's game where Ohio State jumped out to the early lead. And then obviously the Boston team fought their way back. So, if you're the Boston team, you're like, hey, we dug ourselves into this hole. Like, let's try and get ourselves out of it. You can't really, change what happened already.
Burr almost put in his sixth. His body language is, you got to be kidding me.
3 pipes. He's hit 3 pipes this half. So, he's probably, saying to himself, I don't know how he gets his hands free that easy from the Ohio State goal. I would almost even lock him or just shade to his side and make somebody else shoot, right? You obviously know their main guys. He's got 5 goals, so it's not like the Boston team's going to change their strategy anytime soon. Make someone else beat you, right? Make someone else be the shooter or the guy on the man-up team with that pressure.
Ziama. Back up top. Back at full strength, too, by the way. 52 seconds on the shot clock. 12:05 to play in regulation. Boston down by 5 goals. Not insurmountable, but they've got to take advantage of opportunities where the possession is this lengthy and Burr misses too tall.
Yeah, I mean, you're seeing, like I said, tale of two halves. This is a complete opposite of what the Boston team was doing in the first half, right? They were coming down, dodging, shooting right away early in the shot clock. Now they're making this Ohio State team play defense, and you're seeing...
the shot goes into the side of the cage, so nothing doing for Gray. And Terefenko outruns Gray up the field. Boy, he's just blowing by Ziama and easily clears it.
Yeah, he's fast. Human punt return right there, but not a lot of people that can stay step for step with Ryan Terefenko on the open field.
11 minutes, 25 seconds remaining in the fourth. Buckeyes 13, Boston 8. Ohio State had 10 of those 13 in the first half.
Yeah, if you're this Boston team, right, you're not hitting the panic button right away because you know that you can score in bunches. But obviously every possession that goes by that you don't score does put a little bit of pressure on your defense to get a stop, puts a little bit more pressure on you next time the ball comes down. Boston's back into their zone that's been kind of giving Ohio State a little bit of trouble since they fixed things up in the first half here.
There are not many moments where Trey LeClaire is off the field, but right now is one of them. 24 seconds in counting on the shot clock.
Yeah, really interesting that he's not on, especially with...
Good little find. Beautiful deke and a goal. The Buckeyes add another. It's 14-8. I believe that was Musey with his second of the game. Kind of got knocked down.
Yeah.
It sure was Musey. Well done.
Great patience by both the feeder and shooter. As you see, right, he's kind of on his tippy toes before he falls in. Throws one fake to get the goalie out of place and then puts it around him nice and low in the corner. And that's huge for Ohio State. That's the answer you wanted, right? You start the quarter, right? You get a stop on defense, you kill a penalty, you come down, you score a goal, right? Add to this lead, keep putting pressure on the Boston team to have to make decisions in crunch time and decide if they're going to play fast and kind of speed things up or if they're going to sit on the ball a little bit.
So here's the deal. My mistake, 16 and 18 looked a lot alike, both in similar build and size and explosiveness. It's actually Colby Barker, not Nick Musey.
Got it.
But the goal nevertheless still stands. A good job with the long stick for Jackson Smith there defensively. Actually, Evan Riss. Smith is not on the field at the moment. Buchanan Donovan and Evan Riss, a couple of long stick defenders. All right, for BU now, it's a 6-goal deficit with 10 minutes to play.
Yeah, now you got to speed up a little bit. And you can see they're moving a little bit faster on offense than they did last possession. They're still trying to get, Gray and Burr involved. They do a nice job of getting those guys in positions where they can be successful. But as you can see, right, Ohio State's not even letting Gray get the ball behind the cage, right?
Burr looking for his 6th, denied. Curson with a nice save.
That's an easy save for Curson right there, stick side. But, obviously Ohio State made a goalie change earlier this game, right? It was a lefty goalie in Skyler. That would have been an off-stick save for him, which might have been a little bit more difficult. But you switch the goalies up. Sometimes you may forget about it, not realize as a shooter, end up shooting right into the other goalie's stick. So credit to Ohio State coaching staff on making that change, kind of throwing those different wrinkles at Boston to get those stops they need down the stretch here.
Shot clock at 50 seconds. 9 minutes and 14 seconds to play. Myers dumps down to the corner. Reed back behind the cage now. Jasinski.
Boston kind of pressing out a little bit, trying to see if they can get some easy turnovers on the perimeter. Haas stayed in there. Invert set, trying to get a
Hard screen. It may have been effective, though. Smith with a missile. Too tall. Buckeyes shot clock is at 20.
Tell you what, Colby can bring it from up top. He's
Sure
definitely
can.
someone that they want to watch out for.
He's going to try it again. He tried to bounce it in, and McSorley was there to make the stop.
Great save by McSorley. He's had a rough day to say the least, but making some key ones to keep his team in it, keep giving his team hope. Ooh.
Burr scores again. It's the best game of his career. 6 goals, and he's keeping his team in it. Down 14-9 with 8:29 to play.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with Boston University's ability to push transition, right? The long stick midi for Boston University, number 34, coming down, right? Kind of fakes like he's going to shoot. Pump fakes, right? Gets around the defender and makes a really good decision. Nice crafty stick work. And, Burr's been over there just burying goals all day.
James Burr scored his first of the game to make it 4-2. And then Ohio State scored 6 goals in a row to go up 10-2. And then Burr by himself in the third quarter scored at the 10:58 mark, 10:26 mark, 9:19 mark, and 7:47. He scored 4 goals in basically 3 minutes. He's got 6 in the game now, 8 for the season. That's a big face-off win by Ohio State, up 14-9 with 8:18 to go in the game.
Yeah, you want to stop that momentum before it kind of snowballs on you. So Ohio State kind of getting that face-off, able to milk some more time off this clock, right? Obviously, the ball's not at the end with Gray and Burr where they've been having a bit of a day. Get your offense on. I think you just continue running things. Maybe you're a little bit slower, a little bit more patient. If you don't love the look, it's not going to end up in a dunk right on the crease, right? No point in that.
Good move by Musey.
Uh-oh.
He tried to pass back up top. It went off of a BU player's helmet. And here come the Terriers.
Good old phantom check.
Successful clear. Terriers with some momentum. Flag comes out. A second flag comes out. Jake Cates holding.
See what the call is.
Well, one flag's near side, the other is far side where Cates originally was. And Cates just threads the needle. He beats Curson up top with a beautiful goal. For the first time all game, I think it's fair to say the Terriers really believe this isn't over.
Yep. I mean, they're in it. Great physical dodge. Down the wing right there. They knew they were going to get the ball back because they had the penalty. We'll see what the call is.
It was an
Goal's going to be good, but we'll see if Ohio State's got to take this face-off man down or not.
offside was the call.
Offside's okay. So that'll be wiped out, so we're going to be all even right now.
14-10 Buckeyes. And the Boston University fans and sideline making a lot of noise here. 7:22 to go. Could we be in for a high-scoring finish?
Yeah, I mean, we looked at the score, not too long ago and said, hey, this might be getting away from them. They scored, 3 quick goals, and now they're only down by 4.
Oh, Nacio with a
face-off.
great win on the face-off. He runs right at the cage. It's scooped away. LeClaire can't pick it up. Ohio State trying to grab the ground ball. Still loose.
Great save by McSorley, guy coming right down the middle of the field. Now ground balls are going to be huge, right? I mean, you see the tenacity these guys are fighting for this ball with, right? Body, sticks, everything. Obviously, we're not surprised to see Ryan Tarafinko come up with him as he does many a times in his career.
That's a big win for Tarafinko.
Yep, because that shot clock resets, and now you got a whole nother 70 seconds that are going to come off.
Game clock's at 6:42 and counting.
Think of your boss, right? Now that you've brought it back within 4, no need to necessarily hit the panic button and start pressing out and throwing a bunch of checks and getting yourself in the penalty box, but you definitely need to stop on this possession, clear the ball. I think obviously you push transition like you've been doing because that early offense has really been giving Ohio State trouble. It's been causing them to have subbing errors. It's ended up in Burr having wide open step downs.
Smith dumps it off. Jasinski wanted to take the shot, couldn't. Shot clock still at 35. The Buckeyes have passed on a couple of chances in favor of killing some time.
Yep. Once again, right, if you don't love the look, you don't need to force it, right? You don't need to force it to give them offense or give them more time, right? You're gladly okay with this.
Oh, what a sweet shot! Maybe the goal of the year by Lucas Buckley.
Great finish by Buckley right there. The patented backhand. Lyle Thompson in his days at college, he kind of made this move famous where you just don't even turn, you kind of flip it over your shoulder there. You're seeing a lot more kids kind of go to this instead of turning around, right? You know the goal's behind you. It's 6x6 and that. You know you got a good chance of hitting it. Not sure how often you might practice that, but that's definitely one of those things where if it goes in, it's all right, but if it doesn't go in, Coach Myers might have a couple words for you and not be too happy about it. But great goal by Buckley there.
If you're McSorley, you just got to shake your head. I'm not really sure that was savable. It was just perfectly placed, and the deception was incredible.
Yeah.
So it's 15-10, and Inacio wins the next face-off with the Buckeyes controlling now less than 6 minutes to go in the game, and that might have taken some of the wind out of BU's sails.
Yep. We'll see if BU decides. Obviously, they're pressing out a little bit in this early set. While Ohio State's subbing, right? You got some guys behind you that can help if you do get beat. But we talked about those early possessions in the first quarter, right? When they were spending pretty much the entire first quarter on defense, those body blows like you talk about in boxing, you're going to start seeing those kind of take effect right now, right? As they begin to try and press out, do their long sticks, do their guys have enough gas in the tank to press out and chase some of these really athletic Ohio State offensive players around. And I wouldn't want to have to chase around Jack Jasinski for 30 seconds.
Well, the net was open with McSorley way out of position, and Jasinski easily dumps one home.
Yeah, we had a twofold situation. The BU defenseman actually broke his stick in the far corner of the field, so that puts him a man down. Then they had brought the goalie out to try and go double the ball. So it's kind of a double-edged sword right there for the BU team. And you get the ball number 5, he's going to run past anybody in NCAA lacrosse and most double teams in NCAA lacrosse, and he finds the back of the net to extend this thing to 6 goals.
16-10 Ohio State, 5:08 to play. I am actually shocked that's the first broken stick we've seen in this game, because we've seen some really hard checks. I just would have expected somewhere along the way that it might have happened sooner.
Speaking of broken, I've actually broke 3 in 1 quarter before.
3 in 1 quarter?
Yeah, 3 in 1 quarter.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah, it just depends on, obviously the material that they're making out of is strong material and, the technology behind it. But sometimes, depending on if it's hot summer day, sometimes those things break pretty easily. Sometimes they don't. But obviously, like you said, we've been seeing some physical play, some hard checks thrown. Surprised it doesn't happen a lot more often.
4 minutes, 45 seconds left in the game. The Buckeyes feeling good, up by 6. That stick was knocked out of his hands, and Kirsten's able to pick it up. Now, that said, Burr, I believe, is down
really
on the ground. He's really slow to get up. I didn't see what happened to him specifically, and they are going to whistle play dead. Boy, that's the last thing you wanted to see. Burr slow to get up. He at least got up under his own power.
Yeah.
Again, James Burr having truly the best game of his career. 6 goals. He's been unbelievably good for Boston today. And a tough kid. He's going to walk out, thankfully, under his own power.
Yeah, might have gotten a check or some body contact after he got rid of the ball there. Hopefully he comes back in the game because he's been fun to watch. I mean, he's a guy kind of, hasn't really had the ball in his stick a whole lot, but he's got 6 goals, right? He's more of a catch-and-shoot kind of guy and brings that aspect to the BU offense. I mean, it kind of reminds me of, compared to like basketball, like Klay Thompson, right? He's a guy who lights up the stat sheet, but doesn't take a whole lot of dribbles, doesn't dominate the ball like a James Harden type guy. So it's really been fun to watch him play today, and hopefully it's not too serious. He comes back in soon.
Well, the other side of the coin is with only 4:29 left in the game and down by 6, and Ohio State having the ball, do you bring him back in the game to risk further injury depending on the severity of it?
I think the training staff's going to assess kind of what's going on, right? If he can't come in and help you, right, there's really no point.
Sure.
Second game in the season. Not saying that this one's over, but obviously your 6-goal lead with 4 something left. You don't want to aggravate an injury and then have him out for the whole season, because he's definitely going to be a guy they need down the stretch as they compete for a conference championship and try and get into the tournament.
Well, right now, Boston University's in a tough spot. And look, at the end of this game, if they can't come back, they're probably going to look at the first half and say, man, we figured it out in the second half. We had the right winning philosophy, but dug ourselves too deep of a hole early. And the good news is, it's so early in the season, you can learn from those kind of things and figure out what little tweaks you need to make. Hopefully avoid that going forward.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're traveling from Boston, so you got to start with looking at your travel day and what you do to get prepared for the game, right, in order to start fast. So maybe for a lot of these guys, long travel, right? How do we travel? What are some things that we can change about it to make sure our guys are ready to play? That mental focus aspect you hear so many great athletes talk about is like, how do we mentally prepare for this game? And then you start diving into the actual game. Did we do the things at the beginning of the game that we said we were going to do, right? And I think defensively they probably didn't, with just how easy they were able to, how easy Ohio State was able to score some of those goals. But you can look at this second half and be like, hey, we battled back. We have a no-quit attitude. We can score quickly and effectively. They did a great job in the second half of making adjustments. So, kudos to their kids being coachable. Kudos to the BU team. Not just saying we're going to stick with the game plan, just beating their head against the wall, but making changes and trying to get themselves back into it. And if you're Ohio State, you're looking back at another game where you're up 10-2, 10-3, and things kind of snowballed you where you almost have a feeling of you're holding on. Yes, you're up by 6. Yes, you've gotten some good goals, some highlight reel type goals, but once again, not necessarily as clean a win, not as consistent as the coaching staff for Ohio State might have liked.
No, and it's always, you'd rather win ugly than not win.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's much easier to...
Here's Jasinski looking for another, and he gets it.
Yep.
Beats him underneath. Jasinski continues an outstanding afternoon. First couple games of the season have been just terrific, and give him his 5th goal of the game.
Yeah, he's going to be a matchup nightmare for just about anybody. With his speed, change of direction, how strong he is, right? A lot of people don't realize exactly how strong he is in the lower body.
By the way, that 5th goal is now a new career high for Jasinski.
Good for him. There we go.
So he tacks on to what will be a memorable day for himself, too.
Yeah, he's definitely showed up to play. He's one of those guys that Coach Myers talked about, getting going early. Last week he had 3. Today he's got 5. So that's a great job by him. And like I said, he's got 5 goals, but it wasn't like he dominated the ball, right? He sees his opportunities. He shot the ball really well. He finished in front of the goal, right? He's a guy that looks for contact, doesn't shy away from it. Really tough. And then obviously with Ohio State winning this face-off, this game's starting to slip away from BU.
So it's now 17-10, and the Ohio State Buckeyes have the ball with less than 4 minutes to play. I still go back to the goal from Lucas Buckley that kind of put the nail in the coffin. I mean, it just, we've seen some good goals here the first couple of games of the season, but that was just nasty.
Yeah, I think that one will definitely be on the highlight tape when Coach Berge and the staff go to make that. And if I'm Buckley, I'm telling him, hey, send me that clip. I'm gonna put it on social media to get some likes in here for sure.
Blast it out.
Yep. So you see BU trying to trap the ball, double it, get it back. Omari DeBerry, another fast, athletic midfielder, soaking some checks. I've been there before. That's not a fun job to have.
3:15 to play. Now in the near corner, Zach Ludd, a freshman from Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
Zach Ludd, another quick, shifty guy. Obviously, you've seen Ohio State add in some fresher legs to kind of help run this clock out.
Again, an open cage here. And the Buckeyes just sort of kill off the shot clock, rolling it away.
You see that on that last possession, the BU defense is struggling to try and keep up and run with guys, right? It speaks to Ohio State's depth to throw different guys out there in different types of situations, but this also speaks to early possessions in games end up paying later, whether it be you playing too much defense early and your guys are tired, or not playing enough and your guys are fresh and can press out.
Burr back on the field. Glad to see him healthy enough to continue.
Yeah, it's definitely good to see. I know the Boston team's happy about that for sure.
He has 6 of BU's 10 goals. The other 4 have been split up. Gray, Cates, Lee, and Collins. But Burr has just been dynamite today.
Yep.
For as well as Jasinski's played, I think you could say James Burr has probably been the most important player on the field. Nice little dive. Kirsten, I think, actually kicked that and stopped the momentum of the ball and then scooped it up.
Great save right there on the doorstop.
2 minutes to play. Buckeyes lead 17-10. And a timeout for Ohio State.
I think Ohio State's going to use this opportunity to get some younger guys in, some experience, maybe prevent some of their starters from getting injured and stuff like that. Sometimes end-of-game situations, you're tired, you're fatigued, things get a little chippy, so you want to try and avoid injury and come out of this thing nice and healthy.
All right, so the Buckeyes look like they're on their way to 2-0. What's been most impressive to you in the first couple games that you've seen so far?
So I think, from an offensive standpoint, the improvement that we've seen more in the first half, the way that Ohio State's offense started the game. And I think defensively, in the second half a little bit, they let a couple things get away from them. But I think that first half was huge coming off of that Cleveland State win where it was a great win, right? You look at the score, you look at the stat sheet. But just at times, right, watching that game, it is something they fully had a grasp on that. But then there's still things they can learn, right? We look at the second half, right? It's how do we finish games? How do we approach, being up by 10? They haven't had the adversity of being down in any of the games yet, but they have had some adversity of teams going on, 2, 3, 4 goal runs against them. And I think they've also handled that pretty well of not panicking, not letting that snowball into an even a bigger goal run. And then obviously closing out games in situations like these, how do we close these games out is huge because they expect to, looking at their schedule, they expect to be in some of these situations, and these games are only going to get tighter as they move on.
Let's look at the goalkeeping play. Obviously, Kirsten has seen more time than Wayland thus far. Kirsten played the entire first game, and he's played a good chunk here of the second half this afternoon, but I thought Wayland had a decent debut. You made the comment that you thought some of the goals he gave up were on just really tough shots that may have been difficult to stop no matter who was in net. So how would you evaluate the goalkeeping play?
I think the goalie play was good. I mean, obviously, I still think, back when I played, Ohio State's metric was keeping teams to about 7 or 8 goals a game, so they're a little bit high on that. But, I mean, Gray's a great shooter. So, I mean, he got his hands free a couple times. Some of them were in transition. So, you give a guy like that time and room on a 6x6 cage, he's most likely going to put the ball in the back of the net. So, obviously, we'll see what Ohio State wants to do next week when they play, who's going to start. I thought both goalies have been handling the ball well in the clearing game, which I know is a factor for the Ohio State coaching staff. But then, obviously, things are starting to kind of creep up on Ohio State, so Coach Myers, decided to put in someone with a little bit more leadership to maybe help settle things down a little bit. But the goalie play has been awesome this year so far. I think it's better to have a problem having 2 goalies that can play than not having any.
No doubt.
So I think if you're the staff for Ohio State, you're looking at this like, we got 2 guys to make a decision on, but it's better than looking at one guy and being like, oh man, I don't think he can get it done, and not having anybody else back there.
Gray rattles the post with 1:08 to play. 17-10 Ohio State. Zayama takes a shot and misses. On the other side, quickly here for Boston, a team that got off to a good start. And by the way, the Buckeyes did make a change. Yeah. Mike Klibanoff is a freshman goalkeeper. So, anyways, if you're Boston now, you're going to drop to 1-1 on the season, and I think they have always known what they have in Burr and in Gray, but it's probably about finding some more depth.
Yeah, and it just depends, right? Because you see this situation in sports where you got 2 main guys, and if those guys are doing too much, then the other guys don't really know where their role is. So I think it's more of having the other guys figure out what their role is when Gray and Burr get the ball, and getting some of them involved to have some of that confidence, because at the beginning of the game it was a slow start because Burr and Gray weren't going early, so the other guys didn't really know what to do or didn't really know kind of what their role was, and obviously that showed in the first half.
Some new faces out on the field for the Buckeyes. Brandon Fisher, a freshman from Lorton, Virginia. We've seen TJ Hendricks, who's from Fairport, New York. He's also a first-year player. Matt Klibanoff, who is a freshman attack, and his brother Mike, who is back in goal. Ohio State has Zach Ludd still out on the field. Final 10 seconds of regulation. Ohio State got off to a huge early start. They were challenged late, but the Buckeyes, as the final buzzer sounds, the Buckeyes with a 17-10 win, and they are going to at least statistically count the penalty for the flag that was thrown, although it obviously doesn't alter the outcome of the game. So Ohio State goes to 2-0 with the win. Boston falls to 1-1. A much more offensive game for the Buckeyes, but so far so good for Ohio State as they prepare for their first road contest of the year.
Yep. I mean, Ohio State moving forward, they're going to go to, I believe it's UMass,
Yep.
right? Yeah,
Up to
UMass, tough place to play. Their fans are going to be hyped up. They're right there behind you, so we'll look to see how that road test goes into it. But obviously, they got some things to work on, and they got, obviously it's better to have things to work on and be 2-0 than have things to work on and be 0-2 going into UMass. So we'll look to see how they improve and what they bring to the table next week.
Again, your final score, Ohio State 17, Boston 10. For Dominique Alexander and our entire crew, I'm Brendan Gulick. So long from Columbus. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon if you'd like to join us for our first women's game of the season. Detroit Mercy in town. They'll get underway at 3 o'clock. Until next time, have a great rest of the weekend, everybody.